Welcome. I'm Carolyn Stellatella, aka Stella, coming to you from the Peg Studio Kitchen, and today I'd like to show you how I make my famous Stella's Stuffed Brownies. If you're not sure what a stuffed brownie is, you're in for a treat. So first we're going to preheat the oven at 350, and then we're going to prepare our pan, which I did a little prep. I used 2 sheets of parchment and a little bit of cooking spray. And then we're going to start with our first layer, which is a chocolate chip cookie batter. And you can use a mix if you'd like. You can also bake yours from scratch or use a refrigerated cookie batter. I'm going to use a mix, and for this mix, it just requires 1 stick of butter and 1 egg. And I'm just going to mix it with a fork. You can mix it with a beater if you'd like, but I'm just going to keep it simple. And the other secret ingredient is 1 teaspoon of water. The mix does not call for a teaspoon of water. But because the batter is going to be baking a little bit longer in a pan than it would be on a cookie sheet, you should add that teaspoon, and that's one of the secrets. So now you know my secret. So you're just going to mix this up and get it really well blended. And I'm going to add that teaspoon of water in a sec. And like I said, if you want to use your own batter, a lot of cookie recipes call for a lot of cookies. So you probably don't need your whole recipe for this. So you need about enough to make about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 inches in the bottom of an 8x8 square pan. So if you're going to make your own batter from scratch, you can make it, put in what you need, and then make cookies with the rest of it. But this is a really simple and easy way to get these made without having to do all that measuring and mixing. So I'm just going to keep mixing this up. Now, the secret, 1 teaspoon of water additional to whatever your cookie mix recommended. And you just got to get it well blended, get all the powdery, floury stuff mixed in. So you could use mixer if you'd like. I just use a fork. And once it's all mixed, you're going to transfer it to your prepared 8x8 inch pan with your parchment and your cooking spray. And you're going to pat it in, which I'll do in a moment. Just keep mixing. And I will also mention that this can be a different kind of cookie if you want to use your imagination. I'll talk a little bit about variations at the end, but this is the traditional chocolate chip version, chocolate chip brownie version. All right, so this looks good. A little more in the bottom. Give it another spin. And again, that teaspoon of water is crucial so that your bottom layer doesn't get too dried up in the process of baking these, because they do take about 55 minutes to bake, and we won't have that time today, so we'll have a little magic of TV. All right, so now you're going to transfer your mixed up cookie batter into your 8x8 pan. Like so. Give it a good scrape. And I'm going to use my fingers to just press it in. If you have a little bit of powder, you can just mix that. And you just need an even layer. Try to move that parchment so you can see. Get all the chocolate chips spread out. And then I'm going to scrape my fingers off. This is the fun part. Kids love doing this. So if you have kids that you'd like to bake with, this is not only a treat for them, but the fun part is the spreading stuff out. So, and they'll also love eating these. Okay, give it a nice press all around, get it into the corners, and make it even. And then you can wipe your fingers off. for our next layer, we're going to use a sandwich cookie with double the filling. Again, you can use variations on this. I'm just going to give my hands a rinse. And we're going to make 4 rows of 4 right on top of the cookie dough. So these usually fit very nicely across. And like I mentioned, you can use different flavors of these. I'm using double the filling because it's just that much better. And I heard a little trivia about these cookies. A math teacher did a little study to see how much double really was and found out that there's only 1.86 amounts of filling. But like a lot of things these days, they're getting to be less. So we push those in like so, give them a little squish, and you'll have 4 nice rows of 4 right on top of your cookie dough. Now for your brownie layer. So we'll get rid of this and this. So I'm also going to use a mix for the brownies, and again, you can use your own scratch recipe if you'd like, but you're going to follow the directions on your box. Let's see if I can cut this open. And this one calls for 1/3 cup of cooking oil, 1/3 cup of water, and again, whatever your mix says, and 1 egg. And you're just going to beat that up first, give it a little mix. And again, I'm just going to use a fork. You can use mixer if you'd like. And for the brownie batter, if you are using a mix, go with something a little more cakey. Don't use your super fudgy variety if you can help it. This one needs to be a little cakey. And I like ones with chocolate chips, so this is a double or a triple chocolate. But you can, again, use your favorite mix or bake yours from scratch. So pour that in. And give it a good mix. Again, the fork method. If you want to use beaters, you can do that. Then you just have more to wash at the end. And again, if you do use one with chocolate chips, you want to make sure as you mix that all those chocolate chips get coated. Sometimes there's a little bit of flour or powder around them, and you want to make sure that they're really well incorporated. And kind of scrape down the sides if you haven't done much baking, but if you know that, it's just your standard. Give it a mix. Some people count a certain number of strokes. Just make sure it's really well mixed up. And this one, you don't add that teaspoon of water, just the ingredients that your box or your mix requires. And sometimes it's butter, sometimes it's oil, sometimes it's a little more water. And then you're going to just pour your brownie mix batter right over your sandwich cookies and your chocolate chip batter. And again, you can just smooth it out. I'm not going to use my hands this time. Make it even, get in those corners, and it'll be a nice coating. You won't even see those cookies anymore. It kind of goes in between the little gaps. Get all the good stuff out. And then I kind of shake the pan a little bit just so that it really evens out and gets into the nooks and crannies. Sometimes with the chocolate chips too, you just have to give the edges a little push. So now we have our chocolate chip cookie batter, we've got our sandwich cookies, and we've got our brownies on top. So into the oven at 350, this goes. And like I said, it's going to take a while, and usually about halfway through, I give the pan a spin and I give it a little test with a toothpick. So I'm going to pretend that these have been in for the allotted time, and I do my toothpick test, and perfect. So now we're going to see what this looks like when they come out. You have to let them cool. I cool on a rack usually for a while, and then they should, because you use the parchment, they should lift out, and you can remove the parchment pretty easily after they're cool. So again, the baking time can be even more than an hour. And some people like the edges. Some people call it brownie brittle. So for those people, what I like to do is cut off the edge because it's a little harder. So I'll go around and I'll cut the edges off. So those brownie brittle people in your life will love you. And also this will make the serving really nice when you cut the squares. So the edges come off. And again, you don't have to do this step. This is just if you want to for presentation, and also for people that like those little crispy edges of a brownie. So I take those off. And then just put these on the side. I have my 8x8 reduced a little bit, and a nice long knife like this can go right through. And again, if you have people that are big brownie lovers, you can definitely cut them up a little differently. But these are pretty decadent, so you might want to start with smaller squares, and people can always go back for seconds. And then what you'll see is our layers come out so that you have our chocolate chip cookie, our sandwich cookie with our double filling, and our brownie, which had the chocolate chips in it. And you can just arrange them on your serving plate. And then, as I mentioned, I wanted to discuss some variations, because this is the standard chocolate chip cookie, sandwich cookie, and brownie top. But this time of year, some people might think it's still too early, but the mums are out, so it's probably not too early to talk about this. And then here's your brittle. You can see the layers in this as well. And you can either cut these up or just break them apart and give them to your people that like the crunchy parts. But this time of year, maybe you'd like to try a variation, a pumpkin spice cookie bottom. They have pumpkin spice sandwich cookies. And then instead of the brownie, I use a blondie on top. And with, if you can't find blondie mix, again, you can make it from scratch. But with the blondies, I might add white chocolate chips or even pumpkin spice chips if you can find them. And then another really popular one, but not for those people with peanut allergies, would be a peanut butter cookie. These are the nutty ones. Peanut butter cookie bottom, peanut butter sandwich cookie, and make your brownie, and then mince up some peanuts and bake them right on top. So there's lots of variations. Sandwich cookies have carrot cake flavor now. You can get a snickerdoodle cookie bottom with the carrot cake sandwich cookies, and again, I would use a blondie on top of that. And then you can even add a little cream cheese frosting. So the variations are endless. You can use your imagination. These are always a big hit, and as you can see, they're easy to make, not that much to clean up, and everybody loves them. So thank you, and I hope you enjoy making your stuffed brownies one day soon.